I'm right a lot. The bulk of the times I'm right. I have a pretty high percentage on being accurate.
And
Um,
usually when you have to say it multiple times, that's how you know it's true.
yeah,
But go ahead.
because I love throwing it in people's faces, so that's
Right,
why I say it
right.
multiple times. But
Absolutely.
another example of me being accurate is you can see that it's like almost a 20-minute video, where at the tail end we're talking about the convoy, and I'm just like telling these truckers, generally speaking, that they should just go home. Like appreciate the efforts, but all these mandates are going to be lifted anyways, and you guys are essentially wasting your time and annoying people for no reason, right? Then there was a leaked phone call from Ford where he just more or less said he's going to make an announcement soon saying all the mandates are going to be lifted, following in the steps of Saskatchewan, Alberta. They're lifting this stuff, right?
Right.
So come to find out, again, shouldn't be a shocker if you're a subscriber of this podcast that I was right. March 1, mandates lifted. No more proof of vaccination. Just gone. Crowd up the gyms, crowd up the movie theaters, whatever you want to do. The funny thing is, well, what I think is funny and what I believe will actually cause a lot of drama
Which means
is,
everybody else thinks that as well, if you think it.
humor is subjective, facts are different.
Okay,
But
all right. A little
what
humble there. Okay, that's nice.
what I think is funny is that the government is saying vaccine passes, meh. But businesses, though, if you own a little mom and pop shop, a little clothing store, whatever. If you want proof of vaccination, that's on y'all to ask for it. I think that's going to cause a whole heap of problems because although the government are saying it's not a big deal, what if some of these, again, I'll go back to the truckers, what if some of these trucking companies are like, actually, it's a big deal to us?
Right. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's just like anything else that's happened with the government when they make a decision, the businesses are going to follow suit. So if the government is saying, "Listen, we don't want to take your vaccine passports or you no longer have to submit vaccine passports, it's not a requirement for us." The businesses are going to follow suit because it's not a convenient thing for anybody who works in these businesses to have to check these QR codes or these vaccine passports every single time somebody comes in, because you're not allowed to store any quote unquote personal information. So if I see you on a Monday, right, and I know that you have all your stuff, you showed it to me, and you come back on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I have to look at it again every single time. So it's not very convenient. So I feel like they're willing to get rid of this. The real question is though, where is the party at on March 2nd? Or is it March 1st it kicks in? What day is it? March
March
1st or
1.
2nd?
It's
Woo!
March 1.
Please, somebody tell me where the party's at, because they are allowing us to go back outside. They're allowing us to go back to the clubs. They're increasing the capacity, or they're getting rid of the capacity limit, should I say. The parties can go back on. You can hold events again, which is great for people like myself who were holding shows before. I noticed one thing though in the Doug Ford speech. I watched it. I watched it again just to refresh my mind, make sure I had everything right, what I was thinking. He thanked a lot of people. He thanked a lot of people in his speech. The people that he didn't thank, and he continues to never really thank unless it's written for him, are people who got vaccinated. He thanked nurses, he thanked people who volunteered, but at no point did he say, and thank, like Trudeau, and thank you everybody for choosing to get. Doug Ford didn't give a. Doug Ford was never about this life. That's how I know he was never about this life. He
Well,
wanted to end this a long time ago.
I don't really think he needed to thank the vaccinated nor Trudeau because pretty much up until this point, all they've been doing is thanking the vaccinated. We know we're appreciated. We've been hearing it the entire time. You know what I mean? So, a good point though. It is a good point, but
He
I
didn't
I
mention
did
it. He thanked a lot of people, man. I'm
I
just saying he
I
thanked
mean
a lot of people.
I never felt forgotten.
Yeah, well, it's Doug Ford. It's who it's coming from. Of course, nobody really cares whether or not he did, but I just noticed that he didn't is all I'm saying. And I just noticed in a lot of their other speeches, well, mainly Justin Trudeau, every single speech he gives, he mentions something about the vaccinated or the not vaccinated in his speech. So just something that I noticed. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the next thing that they're curious about is the mask mandates, and they said that's not too far off. They didn't really say it in any certain terms, but they did say it's a conversation that they're gonna have. Look, here's the reality. When I read this thing and then I presented it to my wife, and she's like, "Oh, what's the point?" Da 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 da. Kind of maybe on your vibes. And then I said, well, we have COVID. And then I said, are we in a hospital? She said no, because like, she was trying to say, well, what's the point of getting the booster, right? If they're going to lift the mandates. I'm
Right, right. Okay,
like,
okay,
well,
okay.
we have COVID. Are we in a hospital? No. I'm like, well, that's the point. You know what I mean? So I say that to say this: when it comes to the mask thing, right? Because once they eventually do lift the mask mandates,
Right, because that's still standing right now.
once they eventually lift it, there's going to be tons of people. You see the party you're talking about on March 1st? When they lift the mask mandates, that party is going to be 3 times the size. But if I was to attend that party, which I won't, I would still wear my mask. So even when they do lift the mask mandates on certain places, like I'll still be wearing a mask. If I'm in a mall on a Saturday night, probably wear a mask. If I go to a movie theater for an opening flick, I'd eventually like to do that at some point. Probably wear a mask. If I'm on a going out to dinner on a Friday or Saturday night, probably. So certain areas, places, I'll wear my masks.
Well,
That's
listen,
me. That's me.
if you were like say a business owner who had to be concerned about checking people's QR codes or anything like that, and this news came out, are you waiting until March 1st to stop checking vaccine passports? Are you like, yo, fuck it right now? Because in a couple of weeks, it's not going to matter anyway. So why am I checking it? You can get more customers. What are you doing?
Me, so you're me directly.
If you were a business owner, yeah, you personally, if you were a business owner,
It
and then we
really
can ask Deuce Gang the question.
it really all depended on how I felt about the whole vaccine passport in the first place. If I'm a business owner and my business was being impacted by that, well then I would probably say forget it. I'm 2 weeks out. I'm not checking right now. What's the point? You know what I mean? Nobody
Right,
cares. But if I was for it, I'll probably still continue to check. I might even still implement. If not implement, I'll probably say, all right, cool. Mask up though, social
right.
distance and all that. You know what I'm saying? So try to appease to both audiences.
I'm just saying where I work, we have a lot of people that come in who had their vaccines from like international from other countries and stuff like that, right? So, in order for them to have gotten the QR code in the first place, there's like some phone number that you have to call. You have to give them some information, and apparently it takes 4 to 5 weeks to get it. So there's people who came in, a week, 2 weeks ago with these international QR codes from other countries that were not valid that have to apply for this thing now. And we're waiting 4 to 5 weeks. And now you're telling them that they didn't like, I'd be like, I don't know, man. It's just, I know. I'm not in the circumstance, but if I was an international person and this, I had to delay 4 to 5 weeks to get some dumbass QR code, and now you're telling me I'm not going to need it at all in a couple of weeks, and it might have delayed me from doing something that I wanted to do. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. But I mean, that's a whole different topic. Just something I noticed.
Yeah. Look, man, at the end of the day, viewing public, what are your thoughts on this, man? I mean, I don't like really and truly. And I guess like in my opinion, I think the question is it's not so much about the passports. Like I don't really think it is about we're not even there, but I think the larger question is going to be about the mask because you don't have to insert something in your body. You don't have to take a shot, you don't have to pop a pill. My thing is when the masks get lifted. I want to see because I see how people react even now. Because people who are like anti-vax, anti-mask, I see how people react even now when they see people wearing a mask. They go nuts. They go ham on them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know,
So
you know what I've come to realize though, but like a lot of people with the whole mask thing, honestly, the listen, I'll just speak in my general vicinity because I can't speak for the world, but I really feel like people don't give a fuck anymore about the mask. Because I'll give you an example. I went to grocery store the other day and I just wanted to see what would happen because I do shit like this all the time. So I went into the grocery store, no mask. Like I had my scarf, but I had no mask, no nothing covering my face, and walked around the grocery store. Not one. There was a security guard in there in the grocery store. He didn't stop me or say anything. Not one employee stopped me or said anything. I didn't notice one person giving me an eye or making a comment. people walk by me very casually and normally, like nobody was like pushing or like trying to give me space, like if you're walking a dog on one side of the sidewalk and somebody hops the other side of the street, there was nobody acting like that. So I'm getting the vibe that like once they lift all this stuff, the mask thing is just, even though they say it's still going to be a mandate, that's going to go out the fucking window too. Like that's just how I feel.
Yeah, and which is again why I go back to what I said. Like, I'm curious to see how people react, because my personal feelings is, if you want to wear it, wear it. If you don't. And it's so interesting that you do that. Just as like a sociological experiment. It's interesting because, again, I have COVID. So imagine I was asymptomatic, right? Just
So
totally.
you're just gonna let everybody know that, eh? Just like that.
Yeah, I already put on my gram. So imagine I was asymptomatic, right? Imagine I was asymptomatic, right? And then you're like, yo, bro, I gotta run to the grocery store. You mind just scooping me real quick? I'm like, sure. Whatever. And then like I have my mask on. You're like, yo, I have an idea. I was like, what? You're like, yo, let's just go into this store with no mask and see how these people react. And for some stupid reason, I went against my better logic and I said, sure. Mind you, I'm asymptomatic. I have COVID. Okay.
Yeah, that's a different. You're in a different situation from mine, but
What,
yeah,
but I
keep going.
guess I guess what I'm saying is your thought process and even doing that just to see how people would react, right?
Mhm.
What if you came in close contact with somebody with COVID just because you wanted to say, hey, let me just see what people are gonna say?
Right, 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 right.
So
What if I was
that's
like asymptomatic and something like that happened?
or vice versa. What if you caught it because you just wanted to just see so this is what I'm saying. So at
Right.
the end of so
What if
like
I caught it? Yeah, yeah.
so I guess what I'm saying is like you are able to do that, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I respect your choice on doing that if that's what you want to do. But me, on the other hand, when these mask mandates eventually get lifted, or even now, as you pointed out, people don't care, I'm still gonna wear mine. And I want to see how people, my own sociological experiment, I'm curious to see how people will react to me just because
Right.
I want to wear a mask. I respect your freedom not to wear it. You should respect my freedom to want to wear it. That's all I'm saying. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. That's all.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. You got to look at both sides. Obviously, there's people with differing opinions about this whole mask mandate, and it depends on what situation you're in. I feel that's going to determine how you really feel about it. But I'm just talking about my own experiences from walking around, from what it was at the beginning, from what I remember at the start to where we're at now. People are over and they're done. They're done with it. Like this was a move that could have been made a long, long, long time ago, and listen, if anybody who watches the podcast, I have made fun of COVID. I have said all types of different things. I have got my information from articles and doctors and all this. I've never done any misinformation, but I've always said, I'm here not vaccinated, man. I've never caught it. You know, this guy sitting here, he's got his double dose. He's sitting there with it. But hey, lift the mask, lift the mandates. We got to learn to live with it. I feel like it's just a different version of the flu. Is how I feel about it now, and I'm glad that everybody else is coming to that realization.
Well, I can tell you that I'm glad I got vaccinated because I don't
Yeah, I'm
know.
glad you got vaccinated too. It could have been worse.
I don't exactly. Anyways, viewing public, what are your thoughts here? Leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Are you excited? He wants to know where to party at.